Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This can be another classic movie for you guys, and, well, I kind of made up this new thing called Scorsese Saturday, and, that's because for the past 3 weeks, for the past, I'd say 4 Saturdays, the movies I've been watching every Saturday is a Martin Scorsese film, so, throughout the whole month of July, we've had, Scorsese Saturday, so I just find that kind of funny, but whatever. The movie that I'm going to be reviewing to you guys, this time, is actually one of the most important, Martin Scorsese movies of all time. It's another, it's the 1995, crime drama classic, Casino. And Casino is a very important movie. I was really looking forward to Casino, especially after watching Goodfellas. After watching Goodfellas, I was like, I really want to watch Casino. I really want to see, I really want to watch Casino. I was really looking forward to watching it. I was really looking forward to watching it, and especially, as I said, after watching Goodfellas, I was really looking forward to watching it. Yeah, so I was really looking forward to watching it, and, I just finished Casino, and what did I think of Casino? Casino, I thought was a very good movie. I really enjoyed Casino. I thought it was definitely a very good movie. It was not as good as Goodfellas, I will say that. Goodfellas I did think was a little bit better. This movie was very good, though, and I really did enjoy it. Now, this was a very important movie for Martin Scorsese. As I said, it was I don't know, did I say this? I think I did. It was the last movie that Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci did with Martin Scorsese. It would be the last movie they did, and since then, they still haven't done a movie with him. But definitely, this was a great movie to end on, because it just worked very well, in my opinion. So let's talk about what Casino's about. Basically, the movie's about this guy, named Ace, played by Robert De Niro. He is a top gambling handicapper. Basically, what a handicapper does is, he goes around, scoring compositions or other advantages, basically making sure everything works okay. He goes around making sure everything works okay, and, basically, that's what he does. He goes around making sure everything, works okay. That's what he basically does, and, yeah, so he is appointed, he's called by this Italian mob to oversee the day-by-day operations at this casino, and the casino is not your typical casino. It is a casino specifically for the mob, and he's going to be working there, and he kind of gets in quite a few situations, and that's pretty much what the movie's about. I mean, there's a lot more going on besides that. There's also much like Goodfellas. He also meets a girl along the way. However, the girl in this movie is a little bit different than Goodfellas. It's a little bit different than Goodfellas. However, I do like to think this movie as Goodfellas. However, there are some differences. Let's first get to the acting in this movie. One of the things, before I get to the acting, that I really liked about this movie was they sort of did what Goodfellas did. However, this movie does throughout the whole movie. They jump around between Robert De Niro's, Ace's perspective and Joe Pesci's character's, Nicky's perspective. We go back and forth between them. Sometimes Robert De Niro is narrating, sometimes Joe Pesci is narrating. That's kind of what I thought, that's one of the things that I really liked about the movie. I really enjoyed that they did that. And I like that Martin Scorsese has people like to, narrate his period pieces, and, the acting in this movie is just fantastic. Robert De Niro, I loved his character in this movie. His character was very different than Goodfellas, because his character in this movie was actually very likable. He was actually a very good character. He cared very much about everyone. He did what he thought was best for everyone. He wasn't a criminal or anything. He was actually a very good guy. You really cared about his character. You really wanted things to work out for him. And the movie, one of the cool things about the movie is that it starts off with you see this, the casino basically blow up and you don't know how this happened, and basically the rest of the movie kind of tells you how it occurred, and I thought that was definitely a really cool effect the way they did that. But Robert De Niro, he was very good in the movie. I think this is probably my second favorite performance from him. A little bit better than Goodfellas, actually better than Taxi Driver in my opinion. I think Raging Bull was still his best performance, but I think this was probably his second best performance. I really cared about him in this movie, and he was definitely very good. My favorite in this movie, though, however, has to be Joe Pesci. This is by far Joe Pesci's best performance. I thought he did an amazing job to this movie. He really commanded his role. I mean, his character was very deceitful, very evil, but you really cared for his character just like you did with Robert De Niro, and I thought he definitely did a fantastic job, and he was just really, really good. Like, he was really, really good in the movie. There's this one scene with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and it's in a desert, and it's extremely intense, and it is so famous that there is a YouTube clip, and I found this out from a YouTuber, the YouTube channel We Live Film. They did a review of Casino, and I actually found out about this from them. There's a YouTube video where you have Bert and Ernie, and they basically dubbed it over. They dubbed Casino over to a Bert and Ernie clip, and it's really funny. It works so well the way it works out, but, you know, that's an interesting tidbit about the movie, and I just thought that Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro worked great together. I thought they actually worked a little bit better than Goodfellas, as in Goodfellas, you know, Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci had more scenes together than Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and I thought they worked actually better together in this movie than they did in Goodfellas. Let's go to Sharon Stone. Her character, her character was very troubled in the movie. She plays Ginger, and what I loved about her character was Robert De Niro, you know, Ace. He cared so much for her. He wanted to do what he thought was best for her. You know, he knew that she had drug problems and alcohol problems. I personally thought her character was very unlikable. However, she gave an amazing performance. She was very good in the movie. Definitely, she was very, very good. Amazing acting from her. She was really, really good in the movie. I thought she was definitely very, very good. I thought she was a little bit better than the girl in Goodfellas. The girl in Goodfellas, was a little bit different than her character. You know, her character was more troubled, definitely, while in Goodfellas, he was more troubled. And this, she's more troubled. And I really liked her character because of that. You know, she's kind of like a hustler, and I really wanted their relationship to work out, but you knew it couldn't, especially after the big twist, which I'm not going to ruin until we get to spoilers. But, you know, I thought she did definitely a very good job. James Woods, also very good. Don Rickles has a supporting role in this movie. He's one of the owners of the casino. He definitely did a very good job. Everyone was very good in this movie. You know, there were a lot of people in this movie that I could talk about, but everyone was really good. Let's get to the directing. The director, of course, is Martin Scorsese, who continues to be my favorite director of all time. These are where his best movies are at. I mean, his best movies are period pieces, and this is another one of those period pieces. I mean, the movie starts off in 1975, and it ends roughly, 1973, I mean, and it ends roughly in 1995, the year it came out, and I thought he did an amazing job portraying that, as usual. You really felt like you were in 1975. You know, the music was perfect I keep saying 1975. 1973, you really felt like you were in 1973. You know, the music was perfect for that. The hairstyles, the set was amazing as usual. Martin Scorsese sets are always gorgeous. I mean, the sets were fantastic for this movie. And he just did an amazing job, in my opinion. He really captured that time of the 70s very, very well in this movie. And I just thought he did a really good job with that, definitely. The cinematography was also very good, as I just said. Cinematography was great. The editing to this movie. This movie's quite long, but it moves by so quickly, a lot like The Aviator did. Now, this is not as good as The Aviator. The Aviator is still my favorite Martin Scorsese movie. However, this movie moves just as fast as The Aviator. It also moves just as fast as this movie, which I have not reviewed yet. I will review it eventually. But this movie moves by so quickly, and it's just so interesting that you can't say that you're not interested in this movie. Honestly, to tell you guys the truth, The Godfather is just as long as this movie. I was actually more into this movie than I was The Godfather. I know a lot of you are going to be upset about that, but I was more into this movie than I was The Godfather. I don't know what it is, but something about Martin Scorsese I'm just so into, and I just thought he did an amazing job with, with the movie. The length was perfect. I didn't think the movie needed to be any shorter. The movie had to be that long. For this story they were telling, the movie had to be that long. You just had to tell that long of a story. That's why it was so long, because it had to be that long, and I thought they did a great job with the editing. I had no problems with the editing. This movie, I believe, now this movie was heavily criticized when it first came out, believe it or not, and one of the reasons is because that movie was actually heavily criticized because it is credited as one of the most violent movies of all time. Now, I don't know if it's the most violent movie of all time. Now, there's one scene that, yes, I will say that. However, that is not true. This movie is not as violent as people say it is. I'll say there's about 3 really violent scenes. 3 really violent. I mean, there is, like, stuff of people, like, getting tortured, and you see, like, people dead and things like that, but that's typical for Martin Scorsese movies. But for, this is the most violent Martin Scorsese movie, definitely. I will say it is quite violent. It is hard. I mean, it's not for the squeamish viewers. If you're very squeamish and you watch this movie, it's not for you. Don't watch this movie if you're squeamish. It's not a good idea. But I will say this movie is very, very good. I mean, the violence, I had no problems with the violence, except for the head scene. Oh my god, that was hard to watch. That one scene with the head, where they, like, basically destroyed that guy's head, that was really hard to watch. This movie did get quite a few awards. Sharon Stone was nominated for Best Actress. She definitely did deserve it. She was very good in the movie. She deserved it. Of course, Martin Scorsese was nominated for Best Director, for a Golden Globe and Academy Award. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the spoilers for this movie. If you guys have not seen Casino, I am going to get to a few spoilers. Now, let's just talk about them. So the biggest thing, of course, I think the first thing I want to talk about is the big twist that Sharon Stone cheated on, Ginger cheated on Ace with Nikki. I was so surprised when they started that affair. I was so surprised that started happening. I kind of saw it coming because, those earlier scenes before, they had a lot of chemistry. Those earlier scenes where she was complaining about, how she didn't like Ace caring about her so much, and he was kind of talking about him. But, as friction started to come between Ace and Nikki, their friendship suffered, and because of that, he's kind of, started to, start an affair with her, and I thought that was definitely a very interesting twist, and I really liked that twist. I thought that was definitely a really good twist. I did like that Ginger did die of a drug and alcohol overdose, because if you would just listen to your fucking husband, this wouldn't have happened to you, because, as I said, Robert De Niro cared so much for her, and, Ace did everything he could for her, and she did not listen to him, and as a result, this happened to you. That's why this happened to you, because you did not listen to your husband. Of course, as we know, Nicky also, he ended up, being buried alive, basically. Yeah, he ended up being buried alive, and that was definitely very hard to watch, when he was buried alive. That was one of the hardest scenes to watch in the movie. And, then, of course, the saddest part of the movie is that the casino does end up burning down, because, everyone's arrested from the casino and things like that, but, that closing monologue of Robert De Niro, kind of talking about how, it's different nowadays with a casino, how people are a little bit more greedy nowadays and things like that, and I thought that was definitely a very interesting monologue, because it still holds up today. Casinos are not what they used to be, and I just thought that was a very impactful speech, and I just thought that was a very good speech, and I really enjoyed that, definitely. I thought his closing monologue was definitely very well done. Now, the other thing to point out with this movie is that these people are actually based on real characters. Ace is based on this guy named Frank Rosenthal, who was a professional sports bettor, and he actually worked at a casino, and that's how this movie kind of came to be, because of his character. Nicky is based on Anthony Splitoro. I don't know how you pronounce these names, but he was a mobster just like Nicky was. Frankie Marino is based on Frank Coltero, like a lot of those sort of things. There are a lot of people that are based on other people in this movie, and that's actually really cool about this movie. I really do enjoy that, because it really, I love when Martin Scorsese, puts people that we don't really know very well, and makes a movie about them and gets us to care for them. We didn't really know much about them. I mean, this wasn't something that I've heard about. I've never heard of these people before. Much like Goodfellas, I've never heard who people in Goodfellas were before. Very much like this movie, and I thought Martin Scorsese does a very good job with that. And that's one of the things that Martin Scorsese continues to impress me with, is his, him, getting us to care for people we didn't even know about before, and I think that's fantastic with his movies, and that's one of the things I've always loved about his movies. He's always done a great job about that. And unfortunately, guys, for those of you who enjoyed Scorsese Saturdays, which is something I just randomly made up because I realized I was watching Scorsese movies every Saturday, this unfortunately is the last Martin Scorsese movie I'm watching this year. And I wanted to end on this one because it was the last major collaboration between Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. And ever since, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, they did 3 major movies together. I will say this is probably my favorite of theirs. Goodfellas is still a great movie, but I feel like they did a better job in this movie than they did in Goodfellas, personally. That's just how I feel about this movie. I know a lot of people love Goodfellas. I'm not saying Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is also one of my favorite movies of all time, though. And I think both movies are fantastic, and they're probably going to get compared a lot, but I definitely think both of them are very, very good movies, and they definitely deserve to be watched by a lot of people. Definitely very, very good. So Casino is definitely a classic. As I said, it is hard to watch at times. I do think some people are going to, not want to watch it because it's violent. If you guys are not into ultra violence and things like that, and you can handle like an almost 3-hour movie, this movie's this short of 3 hours, and but as I said, moves by like that. If you can't handle that, then I'm saying don't watch it. But if you really like Martin Scorsese movies like I do, and you really like, films like this, then definitely check it out because it is fantastic. And I will say one other thing. After this movie, Robert De Niro is officially my 3rd favorite actor of all time. I think he is just fantastic in this movie. My favorite actor of all time is Leonardo DiCaprio. Not far from him is Tom Hanks, and then Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is just such a great actor, and he's proven to be one of my favorite actors of all time. He is just fantastic. So Casino is definitely a classic, and everyone needs to check it out now because it is fantastic. Alright, so that's basically it for my review of Casino. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.